Most archers wax their bowstring like this, where they put on the wax, and then they rub it in, and it's literally the fastest way to ruin your bowstring. I used to be just like you, where I would take my bowstring wax here and put a couple dabs on my string, and then take my fingers and burnish it in, or to heat it up so it melts into the actual string, because it looks really, really nice by the time you're done with it. It looks like I'm taking care of my string. It looks like I'm, keeping the elements like water and sweat and all sorts of other things out of my string material. But I had no idea that I was actually ruining my string and shortening the life of the actual base material. When you have to rub wax in to lay down those little fibers, the little whispers, the little wisps of fibers that are sticking off the string, if you don't do it correctly, you're actually going to make those wisps longer and longer, and before you know it, your string actually will need replacing. It won't look like it though. It'll look like your string looks great, because when you put wax on it, you can't see any of those fibers. But when you're doing things like this, where you're rubbing the string back and forth, you're actually degrading the string faster and making the string break down and making those fibers longer, which will eventually stick out easier and easier over time. And that's why you end up needing to replace your bowstring so often. It gets even worse when you take a little bit of leather and you wrap it around the string, like I also used to, and rubbing it furiously and aggressively back and forth to try to get that wax to melt and to flow into the string, into the center of the bundle. And literally, this is even worse. This breaks down that string even faster. Before I show you what happens when you burnish the string like I just did the wrong way, I want to thank Thomas really quick, because without him, I would have no idea that I was doing my string maintenance in the exact wrong way, just like many of you viewers out there are currently doing. If you look at the string as a bundle, and you look at the fibers, it's a synthetic fibrous material. There's multiple strands, but within those strands, there's tiny little fibers that make up those individual strands, and then we wrap them together to make them into a bundle, which we use as our bowstring. But all of those individual little fibers are only held together essentially with a little bit of wax to keep them in a bit of a bundle and to keep them essentially together. But what happens is, as you start to shoot them, you'll see little wisps, little strings that come off the side of it. And the best way to make it look new again is to throw some wax on the string and to melt the wax into the string to keep those fibers stuck down against the rest of the actual bundle. And those little tiny wisps, if you go back and forth and you go two different directions with the actual burnishing or the melting or the direction that you're actually rubbing the string, you're taking those fibers, and when one sticks up, you're bending it one way and then bending it the other way, and bending it one way and bending it, and you're literally doing micro tears as you go back and forth over the section that you see the fibers sticking up. That literally pulls the fibers out more and more every time you go back and forth different directions. And if you've ever taken a piece of string material or a piece of serving and wrapped it around a bowstring, pulled it tight to then move it one direction to make the string round again, if you ever go back the other direction, or even worse, go up and down over the same section time and time again to really make sure this string is nice and round, I really just did a massive amount of damage to my bowstring. I've literally done this before the Olympic Games because I wanted to make my string perfectly round and to not have excessive amounts of wax in it, and to protect it from the elements like rain and all sorts of other things to keep the bow shooting as good as possible. But I had no idea, again, that I was actually destroying my string. So essentially, every single time you change directions that you actually are rubbing the string to either melt the wax into the string or to strip the wax back out and make that bundle round, you're gonna damage the string. When you first get a string from a builder, or if you're building your own strings and you want to make the bundle nice and round, the number one way to actually do that is to take another piece of string material. So a lot of people also use serving, but it's too abrasive. You should use the actual string material itself, wrap it in one loop around the string, pull it tight, and then go one direction from, say, the center serving towards the tips, or from the tips towards the center serving. Basically, once you choose a direction, you always must go that same direction And that way you're always just laying down those fibers in the same orientation and you're never tearing them back the other direction. Think of petting a cat in the wrong direction sometimes. It makes them pretty angry. It's going to make your bowstring angry as well, and it will reduce the life of it. Remember, pick a direction and always go that direction with the actual burnishing. So if you're going to use string wax and add in string wax, many different types are available out there. My favorite one right now is the Whiskey City string wax. It's actually a little bit of bear grease and some beeswax, and it works really, really well. And you put a couple dabs on the string, and then you got to get that wax to flow into the string. Do not use leather to burnish it in. I've already covered this, but the why is because you won't feel the excessive amounts of heat, and heat also damages bowstrings too. So if you can't rub the string wax in with your fingers and stand the heat on your fingers, you're using too much friction, maybe not enough wax, or you're doing it for far too long. And once it gets a little bit warm, stop. Let the string settle, and chances are you've got more than enough wax flowed into the string. If you heat it up too much to where you can't hold on to it because of the friction, like I said, for sure you've heated it up too much, the string up too much, and you're causing excessive damage as well. After you do that move where you burnish the wax into the string, you can again take some string material, like I said, loop it around the string once so it makes one complete loop. Move it to whatever side you're starting with. I prefer to start at the center serving, pull it tight, and go up towards the tip, and then stop. And if you have to go again, do it again the same direction. When I use the material like this and I wrap it around the string, it's cinching down on the bundle, making it round, and then I go one direction to make sure those fibers are laying down in that one direction and only ever in one direction. Always the same direction once you start going one direction from here on out. So all you need to do is burnish your strings in one direction every time, and your strings will last dramatically longer. Hey, if you got value out of this video and you wouldn't mind, consider sharing it. Genuinely, millions of people out there, millions of archers out there burnish their strings the wrong way, and they have no idea they're doing it wrong and actually shortening the life of the string. And that's the #1 way that this channel actually grows, is by you sharing my content out there on the internet in message boards or places where people are posting questions and not sure how to do things right. Or even if you see somebody at the range doing this on their string and burnishing in the wax the wrong way, suggest that they maybe do it a different way and send them a link to this video. It would really, really help me out. And also, if you wouldn't mind, make sure you hit that subscription button and the notification bell down below. About half of my viewers, regular viewers in fact, are not subscribed, and it really helps this channel's numbers out. When you do click that, it boosts me in the algorithm as well. And also, if you are interested in helping support this channel so I can continue to produce this content for archers around the world to enjoy for free, please check out the many different links down in the description below. Consider grabbing some of the apparel we have available on my website, jkaminski.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your equipment or getting coached by me, check out the camps that we have listed down in the description below. There's a handful of them in the US. They're all in Florida right now, but they're spread throughout the year, especially around Gator Cup. So if you're coming down for that and you want to work with me, build an extra day in there with your schedule. And I can't thank my supporters enough. Without you, I wouldn't be able to produce this content, and I really appreciate it. Thanks.